Here, thank you. We'll start with tonight's agenda, which is we're starting with a presentation from the Wilmington Housing Authority about the Wilmington Housing Authority accomplishments from their executive director, Mr. Raymond Fitzgerald. You can take a seat.
Oh, so okay.
Just introduce yourself, and I believe you have a presentation.
Yes.
All right, so they will pull the presentation up. Just say next whenever you need to move to the next slide.
Good afternoon. My name is Ray Fitzgerald. I'm the executive director of the Wilmington Housing Authority, and thank you for giving me the opportunity today to present some of our accomplishments. I'd like to take whatever opportunity I can to make folks aware of some of the good stuff we're doing. Next slide, please. So, Wilmington Housing Authority is the largest direct provider of affordable housing opportunities in the state of Delaware. We administer 2,000 housing choice vouchers, almost 2,000 public housing vouchers, and there's approximately 7,000 Wilmington residents in our facilities. Next. Our purpose is to provide sustainable housing, create opportunities, promote community wellness. So these are some of the things that, we're rated a high performer from HUD through the tool that they use to rate housing authorities. We were able to bring a $1.5 million youth bill grant to the city of Wilmington, where we serve young people between 16 and 24 and helping them get high school diplomas, college education, certifications, and employment. We also received a $50 million Choice Neighborhood Implementation Grant. So that grant is used to redevelop all of the housing units in the Riverside area. But along with that, that grant is used to help develop the Northeast community that surrounds the Riverside area. So it's not just housing. It's community development, things like that. We have partnerships with a lot of organizations, but mainly Reach Riverside is one of the main partners, which encompasses the Teen Warehouse and Kingswood Community Center. We're all working together along with some of the other organizations in the area to build that area back up. We were also awarded a $5 million lead-based capital grant, and that grant is to help us remove lead from our buildings. But what we try to do is we try to layer our program. So we leverage the youth build opportunity with the lead program. We created a lead certification program where we train people to get certifications in lead and asbestos remediation. These are people that were in our youth build program or other community folks that are interested. And then we hired vendors to do the lead remediation in our facilities. And those vendors, we told them that in order to get the grant, you have to hire the people that we trained. So we'll get more into detail with that later about the numbers, but everything we do, we try to make things work together on our projects to make one project build on another. So our housing vouchers, we're over 90% utilization with our housing vouchers. We're able to assist 1,000 families find safe, permanent, and affordable housing. And we have a new service that we'll talk more about later that we provide outreach to landlords. Like one of the things that we have to do is make sure we maintain a positive relationship with the landlords that are already providing housing to our folks, but also, and this group does landlord education and recruitment. So part of their job is to reach out to a certain amount of landlords throughout the state every week to make them understand what our program is, to dispel some of the urban legends about voucher programs and our participants. and to recruit them to be resources so that our folks that are in the city that want to live in the city can, or if we can help them move outside of the city, we can do that as well. So the name of the team, I always give them a hard time. They name themselves. They call themselves the Premier Rapid Housing Placement Team. And what they do, we talked about. So we help. The way this team started is during the pandemic, HUD gave vouchers out called emergency housing vouchers. Those vouchers were temporary, and once the program was over, if those people lost their vouchers, the voucher would go away. So we wanted the people to maximize the voucher use. So what we did was this team's job was when there was somebody, among other things, but when there was somebody with an emergency housing voucher that was in jeopardy of losing the voucher, they would mobilize, get them what they needed so they would keep the voucher so that we didn't lose the voucher. They were very successful at doing that. So they not only help WHA residents, but if I get one of the folks that we have a pretty good relationship with Classy, even though they sue us. But if they have somebody that is in need, whether they're a voucher holder or not, they'll reach out. Some of the other housing authorities will reach out and say, hey, can your team help these folks? So we're not just helping housing authority participants, we're helping everybody in our community who reaches out, who needs help. They also provide case management. And so we find that when people have case management, basically somebody that's following up on them, these folks are not clinicians. But when you have somebody that's following up, things like that, the outcomes tend to be more positive when that happens. So they're providing case management. And like I mentioned before, the landlord education and partnership is important. So far, during the time this program has been in place, they've recruited over 100 new landlords throughout the state that will be willing to rent to either our voucher holders or people who need emergency housing. So this is a very successful program. One of the things we also did is we created a centralized waiting list in the state of Delaware. So all the 5 housing authorities got together, and you would have, everybody had their own lists and their own timelines and things like that. So what we did was all the housing authorities got together and created a centralized waiting list. So you can go to one place and apply for Section 8. And right now we have our public housing on there too, but you can apply for Section 8 for any housing authority in the state through this one tool. And it also, because this tool exists now, our lists never close. They stay open all the time. So I know there were people who would want to apply and we say, well, the list isn't open. That doesn't happen anymore. And we think by doing this and having the list continuously monitored by the group that we hired to do this, that'll increase the speed of which people can move through the list to get housed. I mean, it's going to still be a little long starting out, but as we move through the process, maybe we'll go from 5 or 6 years where people wait until maybe a year or two. That's my goal, which that's still not great, but that's a start. We also have I call it the EU for voucher holders in Newcastle County. So the EU, they have borderless process. Everybody can go wherever they want in the EU, and there's no red tape or bureaucracy. It's kind of how it is in Newcastle County. If you have a voucher from any housing authority in Newcastle County, that voucher will allow you to live anywhere in Newcastle County. Before, there was some complex portability rules and things like that. That eliminated that in Newcastle County, and we're looking to work with the other housing authorities down the road to make it statewide, where if you get a voucher, you can go anywhere in the state and use the voucher. So earlier we talked about workforce development. So, I'm sorry, next slide. We talked about workforce development. This slide will show the different types of jobs that we were able to get people trained on, the high school diplomas, and the different opportunities that the individuals we work with said that they wanted to take advantage of. We helped them do what they wanted to do, not where we thought they should go. So there's a cross-section of different things here. But as you can see, the lead abatement and lead certification programs are the ones we get the most bang for our buck, because we control getting the people hired in those programs. So since 2004, we've trained 139 participants, and of the 139 we trained, 95 of them have been employed. And we don't get them employed and then walk away. We continue to provide case management so they can stay employed, or if they fall through the cracks, we help them get themselves together and find another job. Our goal is to give folks we're working with enough opportunities to fail so they can, when they're ready to succeed, we can help them succeed. So we don't kick them to the curb when they mess up. We have a very comprehensive next slide, please. We have a very comprehensive home ownership program. So if people want to know more, they can reach out, but I'm going to give you a little bit of details. So in our home ownership program, if you're a voucher holder or if you're if you're in public housing, if you want to buy a home from a private person, once you buy the home, your Section 8 voucher or your public housing allotment turns into a mortgage voucher, which means that whatever you were getting for your assistance payment while you were in one of those programs, it converts onto a mortgage payment for 15 years if you're not disabled or elderly, and 30 years, up to 15 years. If you're disabled or elderly, is up to 30 years. So we have folks that take advantage of that program. We also have if you buy one of our units, and we tend to try to sell units to our folks that are in the better neighborhoods or have been recently upgraded to give them, we don't want to sell them anything they have to do work to. They're also, along with that voucher, that mortgage voucher, they're also eligible for up to a 33% forgivable mortgage. So if you buy a house for $100,000, we know that's not the reality. I just don't want to do the math. 33,000 of that, up to 33,000 of that could be forgiven if you stay in a unit 10 years. So that gives that person pretty much immediate equity in the unit, and these things I'm mentioning are part of the reason why since 2009 they have no foreclosures in this program. So it's a very successful program, and there's also educational pieces to the program where you can get information about how to maintain the property. You understand financing. You understand how mortgages work, things like that. They have a lot of programs a lot of information that they provide to people who are participating, and they help them save money for their potential purchase. Since the program started, like I said, there's been 145 families that have become homeowners and no foreclosures. So next slide, please. We talked about the Choice Neighborhood Program. So we also started a program. We're not real good at naming stuff at WHA. So it's called our Partnership Program, where it says Vacant Property Redevelopment. When I became the executive director at Wilmington Housing Authority, we had 30-ish long-term vacant units in our inventory. So that means that there was over 30 units that hadn't been occupied, in some cases over 30 years. So I felt that was like unacceptable. So what we did was there was a number of units that we used our funds to renovate, but then I talked about layering stuff earlier. We had a partnership with the Jumpstart Wilmington program, and where they train developers, minority folks to be developers. Oftentimes a barrier for those minority developers was getting their first unit and acquisition costs to get their first unit, because nobody wants to give money to somebody brand new to work on something they never did before. So what we did for some of our long-term vacant units, we gave it to the Jumpstart folks with no acquisition costs. And then our development staff worked with them to make sure that they did a good job and didn't mess our units up. And none of them messed our units up. They all did a really good job. So once the unit was renovated, we would do 60, we would help them find a tenant. We would do a 80-20 split on the rent. And then in 3 to 5 years, we told them we would buy the unit from them minus our percentage at market rate. So they have no acquisition costs, guaranteed rent, guaranteed sale. So that's been a very successful program. Right now, WHA has no units in our inventory that are long-term vacants that aren't being worked on. So we went from, in less than, the program's been, I only been here, it's less than 4 years I've been in this role. But this program's been in effect maybe about 3 years. In less than 3 years, we went from having 30-something long-term vacant units, having everybody in the neighborhood, not like us, to now folks see that we care about, being good neighbors and taking care of our properties. And I think the people in the communities where we renovated these units are much happier at this point. We also, now when I keep saying WHA, a lot of these projects are a partnership between WHA and our nonprofit, Delaware Affordable Housing Group. And we've built units on Bennett Street. We're building units in some of our vacant lots throughout the city. And we also are building 17 units on 33rd and Market. And what we're doing, and specifically with the units, not at 33rd and Market is our market rate units. We're going to use that funding to invest in the more affordable units. But the Bennett Street units that we built on 800 Bennett, those units are specifically for people in our home ownership program. So we built brand new units, and they're dedicated to people who want to acquire them through our home ownership program. So our goal is to continue to acquire property, acquire units throughout the city, and build more and renovate more to create low-income opportunities for affordable housing opportunities for people in the city. And like we talked about before, we're not only trying to provide housing for people, low-income people, affordable housing opportunities in the non-traditional areas. So some of the neighborhoods that folks would consider better neighborhoods, we're looking to acquire units there so we can sell them or provide affordable housing opportunities to folks in those areas. And we're good. I didn't say next slide. Good job, whoever's keeping up. And we're also using data to track people and track our work and use data to make data-informed decisions to make sure we're doing things the right way. And, generally speaking, like a lot of these programs that we're doing, none of these programs that I'm mentioning tonight are required. And a lot of these programs are things that aren't being done anywhere else. So what we consider ourselves part of the community and part of the neighborhood. One thing I'd like to say is at some point there was, we were doing a pretty poor job with answering our phones. So we have an answering service now, and all of our calls are answered. We have a new data system, phone data system, where every week we send a spreadsheet to staff and the managers saying these calls have not been returned. We need them returned, and we need a reason why they weren't returned. So every week we've been doing that. The list gets smaller and smaller because what gets monitored is what gets done. So, and none of these things, I'm saying this is going to sound bad, but we're not required to do any of these things as an agency, but I believe we're required to do these things to be good partners and good neighbors and to be a benefit to folks and not a drain. So that is all I have. If anybody has any questions, feel free.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. I just want to say that it is a joy working with you, and I'm glad you're there at Leadership First. Let me recognize that Councilmember Harley has joined us, and she is online. If there's any other council members, I see Councilmember Field is also with us. So first, I want to commend you for the work that you've been doing. And Councilmember Willauer is also with us. Thank you. Thank you. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. So, excuse me. Oh, and President Congo has also joined us. So thank you, council members. We have a full house today. So first, I do want to commend you for the work that has been done. We've seen the differences. A little bit less complaints from the community. And I remember 2 years ago, one of the first things that you did when you came into this position was to go into all the properties, the WHA properties, high rises, and start doing these listening sessions to introduce yourself, but to also let them know that there was a new sheriff in town and this is how things are going to run from this point on. Myself, Councilmember Spadola, and other council members that join us, including State Representative Chikwocha, attended those listening sessions. I thank you for affording us the opportunity and inviting us. And just yesterday, we were together at the Parkview, because it is important that we listen to our residents. And the difference in the complaints that we heard 2 years ago compared to the very minor complaints that we heard yesterday, wow, what a difference. What a difference. So I would say that your team is doing a great job. I'm particularly interested in your homeownership program and how we can help to get the word out about that, because it really is about helping people transition into that American dream of becoming a homeowner, and they don't realize that people who are in public housing can become homeowners, as you shared the details of the program. You also mentioned the project at 33rd and Market being at market rate. And maybe Councilmember Owens can speak a little bit more to this, but I know that some of the concerns that came up, that those properties were acquired from the land bank and it was supposed to be for affordable housing, and why are they being sold at this price, et cetera. But now you gave an explanation. You also need to generate income in order to continue to do the affordable home ownership. So if you could speak to that, and Councilmember Owens, if you would like to chime in or express your concerns, I welcome that, because we want there to be affordable housing, obviously, but we do understand that, you know, money has to come from somewhere. So if you could tell us a little bit more about that project.
So when we acquired that land at 33rd and Market, we went and talked to the community, and the community was dead set against us building affordable housing units there. So the current plan is our fallback plan to what we originally were going to do. And again, these funds that are being generated are going to be for, we're not like paying out big bonuses or, making a profit. This money will be rolled right into other affordable housing projects.
Okay. Any other council members that have any questions? I'm pretty much abreast to what you guys do and have been working together with you as part of the listening sessions and everything else that we have done together. Councilmember McCoy, did you want to proceed?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. My question is, you have on here about the vouchers, 1188 vouchers. Wanted to find out whether or not, it says 90%. Are there more vouchers available, or this 10% just haven't been able to locate like a participating homeowner or landlord?
So typically the vacancy rate that we have is because of churn. So there's people looking, or in some cases, like I believe that's the, I don't know if that was public housing. Let me look.
Yeah, that was a housing access.
Okay. So this is our voucher utilization. That number is our voucher utilization. And there's often churn where there's people that are looking for housing and can't find it, or people who are transitioning from one housing situation to another. So even though it's 10%, it's not like we have 10% of the vouchers just sitting on the sidelines. It's because the just churn inherent in the program is why that number's like that.
Okay. May I follow up?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. So I just wanted to find out whether or not are the vouchers that are being received, do they have a certain amount of time in order to use the voucher, and then does it go back in to be recycled, to give someone else an opportunity? Like, what does that look
So
like?
typically, a voucher, I think they get 60 days in order to find housing, and then we can give them extensions. But I'm not familiar with any case where people lost their voucher recently because they couldn't find housing. That group that we mentioned, the Premier Rapid Housing Placement Team, if we have somebody that's having a hard time finding a voucher, the Section 8 team refers them to those folks, and they help them find housing. So it could happen, but it is rare that it happens.
Thank you. We'll proceed with Councilman Owens, and then we have Councilmember Willauer, Harley, and then Councilmember Oliver.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I just wanted to follow up about the $5 million lead paint capital project in 2023 to see what the progress on that is. I know there's been a huge push all across America to get lead out of homes. Do you have like a breakdown of like what percentage of your homes you were able to identify had lead in it, and then where are you at in the process of moving that out? I know sometimes it also is based upon who's in the house and if they want to.
So the logistics of the lead program that we have are for WHA units.
Okay.
So we have control over the population where if we need somebody to go into a hotel while we work on their unit, the grant pays for that. So there's no issue from that end. In terms of, I'll tell you what our commitment is under the grant. Our commitment is that we will get at least 100 units lead remediated on at least 100 units. And what happens is at this point, I think we got about 20 units done. So the reason that we got off to a little bit of a slower start is because we have that training piece that was established. But we expect to get 10 to 15 lead units remediated a month. So, and we believe what we're doing is actually saving money the way we're handling it, because because of the way we're doing it, we remove some of the overhead that was inherent in the salaries of the program, because we're paying the salaries of these individuals through the grant. So that we're going to get a lot more done for the money that we've been allotted. So we're expecting to do at least 120 units before the grant runs out. We've also put in an application for another lead grant that we think will be able to benefit other Wilmingtonians other than WHA property residents, people living in WHA properties. So we're just waiting on that money to be approved as well. So we're looking to expand it throughout the city once that happens. But we're making good progress, I believe.
Thank you. And can I do a follow-up?
Yes, you may.
For 33rd and Market Street, when you met with the community, what civic associations did you meet with? Because prior to my election and since my election, I've been meeting with the East Lawn Civic Association, where the properties are actually housed. A lot of them feel as though that they did not get an opportunity to talk with y'all about that, and that y'all went to the Northwest Civic Association, you went to the Neighborhood Planning Council, but you didn't have that opportunity to really engage with the neighbors who would be impacted the most. And I know we had a meeting right before the summer. It was almost 30 residents. East Lawn is not that big of an area, first off. About 30 of the residents were there, and they semi-agreed with what you said, that they did not want this to be affordable rental units. They wanted it to be affordable housing opportunities for their neighbors and for their families. East Lawn is a very tight-knit community. A lot of them have been in the neighborhood for 30, 40 years. Their kids are in the neighborhood. They thought that this was going to be an opportunity for their kids to still be in the neighborhood but still not be with mom and dad. But the price tag on these homes right now, I know, is very unattainable for a lot of residents here in Wilmington. And at this last meeting, they said that there's been marketing in like the Philly region to try to attract people down here to move in, because it's more of their budget range for, what is it, like $329 price range for these homes? Yeah.
So Nothing you said there is false. So I don't want to, I don't know which associations we talked to. I'm going to find out and follow up. It's my understanding we talked to everybody, and one of the specific groups we talked to were the neighbors that this was going to impact the most. But I'll follow up. I don't know exactly which ones. East Lawn sounds familiar, but I wasn't the ones that talked to the community, so I'll figure that out. But so these units that we're building would be nice units anywhere. And when you say market, we didn't exclusively market in Philly. We did market in Philly because if these units were in Philadelphia, they would cost like $700,000, right? So we could have built for a lot cheaper, houses that wouldn't hold up. We're trying to build something that people can, and I mean, they're brick garages, things like that are not typically in Delaware, in the city. So we're trying to build something that could, be something that stands out in the city. So the price is not the greatest, but for affordable purposes. But it's like if you want to build nowadays, that's what it takes. We're building units, and the reason we can do it in the Riverside area because it's subsidized. These units are much better than those units. But those units are nice. Those units cost more than these units to build. So this is just when you build, this is the cost associated with building.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I would, I'm going to call on the members of the committee first and then my other colleagues. So Councilmember Christian Willauer, you may proceed with your question. Councilmember Willauer?
Thank you. And yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Director Fitzgerald, for making this presentation and for all the innovation that you've brought to the Wilmington Housing Authority. It's great to hear the progress, and I also see it. There's homes that were vacant that have been being renovated in the 5th District through your program, working with developers. So I just want to thank you for thinking outside the box and getting things done. And I also wanted to ask about a property that residents ask me about all the time, which is a WHA property at 628 North Harrison Street, which is a really nice property that's been vacant for some time. And the question that they have is, what's the status of that property and when might it be, used again?
So how long has it been vacant? Do you know?
You remember we met about this property a while ago? It's maybe a year.
So that sounds unusual.
It's the corner
I'm
of
not saying
7th
it's
and
wrong.
Harrison.
Let me check with my team and I'll get back to you. I made a note of the address, but it seems like that seems longer than normal for us to have a unit that's vacant.
Okay, great. It's at the corner of 7th and Harrison. 628 North
628 North Harrison. I wrote it down.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If I could follow up on that one real quick. So it is at the corner of 7th and Harrison, and members of the community have inquired about it because there's actually a cafe right across, and I understand one of the workers there wanted to buy that unit, so I don't know if that's something that would be open to the general public or only for a WHA resident member. I'm not sure how that works. You'll follow up on that with Councilmember Willauer and myself, if you don't mind, because she has heard from the community, so have I, that they would love to have somebody living in that property. It's a nice little corner property.
Yeah, I'm just not familiar with the
Okay.
particular unit, but if it's a WHA really can't sell properties to the general public like that unless it's involved in our home ownership program. But Delaware Affordable Housing Group is. This seems like it's a WHA property, so it seems odd to me that it's been vacant for so long. So I'll follow up and figure out what's going on.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And then I have Councilmember Oliver and then Councilmember Hartley.
Good evening, Mr. Fitzgerald.
How are you?
I just had a little dinner work done. First, I'd like to congratulate you on the outstanding job that you're doing. I know when I call, you always respond pretty rapidly. And I like a lot of people to know he was really the brain behind this little jump start that everybody keeps talking about. I wanted to ask how, when you just said about your WHA homes that are vacant, is there a list of vacant WHA homes?
So this is why this is interesting. This the Councilwoman Willauer just raised. The way it worked was WHA moved all of our long-term vacant units. We basically sold them to our nonprofit. So there are no, I'm not aware of any long-term vacant units that WHA has. And all of the long-term vacant units that were previously in inventory are either being worked on or are already renovated. So I could give you a list of whatever units that Delaware Affordable Housing Group has that are not complete. I can give you that, but we don't have units just, sitting around not being worked on. So that's why I need to follow up on this one to see what's going on. And sometimes, just to be clear, if we want to do something to a property and it's a historic property, I don't know if that's a historic area, oftentimes that delays the renovation when it's historic. So let me follow up, and if you want a list of the properties that the DAG has that are not that are still being worked on and not complete, I can give you that.
Follow up? Yes. Now, that's my follow-up question. Does DAG sell any of their homes to individuals that maybe sitting for a while, et cetera?
Well, if somebody wants to buy a DAG unit, then DAG will consider selling them a unit. But typically, we don't like selling units because we like to keep units in inventory for affordable housing. But we're building units to sell to low-income people. Okay. So, like the units that we're building on, the units that we built on Bennett Street, very nice units. Mm-hmm. The Habitat for Humanity and Woodlawn Trust folks, I'm always teasing them. I say, look, our units are the best units on the block, So those units, we built those units at a price point. We built them at a price point that we can sell them affordable. That's not something you can do everywhere. So wherever we can, we're not just willing to sell our existing units to a low-income person, but we're also willing to build units for low-income folks as well. So if one of our folks in the DAG unit came to us and said, I want to buy this unit, we would definitely sell it to them, but we wouldn't market it to other people to buy, is my point.
Thank you.
No more questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Harley, you may proceed with your question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I also want to thank Director Fitzgerald for his presentation. And I also want to say thank you for the work that WHA is doing over on the East Side. It is definitely making a difference. And the community also has been commenting on the new East Side between Wilmington Housing Authority, Habitat, and all the other housing organizations. I also want to thank you for this new model. It appears to me the new model that you have, or it's my first time seeing it as it relates to your cylinders that you're trying to hit around mobility counseling, the tracking equity outcomes, inclusive housing programs, and the family wellness and safety. That's a great model, and I like the fact that you definitely have them in a way where they can be measured. So, having said that, how do you track the equity outcomes as it relates to around the education, safety, and poverty benchmarks to ensure that fair housing goals are being met? I'm just curious to know, how do you actually track that?
So what we do is we use census data and things like that to target areas where the educational outcomes are better, where the crime outcomes are better, where we can afford to have people move. We try to recruit landlords in those areas. So more so than tracking it, we don't have a lot of data on the front end to track. What we do is we use that data to help us inform, where we want to target areas to acquire units, build units, or help people get units in those areas. So we don't have a robust, there's not a lot of outcome data on that because we recently just started that in the last year or so. So we do a lot more front end tracking than we do actual outcome tracking at this point. Hopefully, if we keep doing this and we're having success, we can start to track outcomes as well.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. Follow up, Madam Chair.
Yes, you may.
Okay, that's great. Where I heard you say earlier, Director, regarding the properties that you have and how you turned them over to nonprofits. Is there is there a list of the nonprofits that you turn them over to, where individuals can go to apply for affordable housing or first time home buyers? Ownership, that type of thing. I heard you say that you turn them over. So I was just curious to know, where are those places, those nonprofits? I know Habitat is one, right?
Right,
Of
but
course.
I might have, there might be a misunderstanding. So the nonprofit that we sent units to is a nonprofit that is an affiliate of WHA called Delaware Affordable Housing Group, and those properties are owned and operated by Delaware Affordable Housing Group, but WHA provides back office support for those units. So if there's anybody that's interested in a Delaware Affordable Housing Group unit, which is the nonprofit that I was referring to, they can reach out to me and I'll put them in contact with whomever, with whatever group, whatever individuals managing that particular property.
Okay, awesome. Because as you know, there's always conversations coming up about affordable housing, first time home ownership. And so the more information we have to give our constituency at civic association meetings and things of that nature, the better, because it's just an ongoing conversation. So the more organizations that we are aware of where we can direct our constituency is great. So thank you. Thank you. You have answered, all of my questions. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to have another question from Councilmember McCoy, and if there's anyone from the public, as this has been a wonderful presentation, and we had a lot of questions, and it is taking much longer than we normally have for presentations. So Councilmember McCoy, please proceed.
I do apologize. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I've actually heard, maybe for the first time a few weeks ago, about DAG. What was the need to form this additional nonprofit, this other arm to Wilmington Housing Authority?
So the Delaware Affordable Housing Group was started by WHA in 2009. So whenever a housing authority wants to do what's called a RAD unit, that is a unit that converts from public housing to Section 8 and still manage the property, that they have to create a nonprofit or some kind of entity to actually be the owner of that property. Because once you convert from public housing to Section 8, you can't be both. You can't be the administrator for the program and be a landlord.
Okay.
So DAG became a landlord of one property in 2009. So I started here in 2021, and I hear we have this nonprofit, and I know we have this need for us to do something with these long-term vacants. So we activated the nonprofit by adding 30-something units to their inventory. And then because the nonprofit is not a HUD entity and it's the owner of these properties now, these were all vacant at the time. So they own the units, and then we can go and get funding, leverage the units, do whatever we needed to do innovative things like we did with Jumpstart Wilmington. Now these units can get developed, where the reason that these units were not developed in the first place is not because WHA was negligent. It was because HUD underfunded housing authorities throughout the country. Let me not say HUD, Congress. Congress underfunded housing authorities throughout the country, so a lot of housing authorities had this issue. So this was just an idea that we had to address the issue. And now that we address the issue, DAG is expanded to other things. Like right now, the building we're at, 321 East 11th, DAG owns that building. WHA is a tenant of DAG, right? So there's other properties that DAG has acquired or is acquiring that is continue to build a huge public housing, affordable housing, be a huge resource for the people in the community.
Okay. Thank you so much for giving me that information, and thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. Do we have anyone from the public that has any questions or comments? Do we have anyone online? Not seeing any hands. Councilmember Oliver would like to have the last comment.
I have one more. I have one more comment. When you mentioned about Councilman Colby Owens, when you mentioned about individuals from Philly, that wasn't flattering to me because we have people from Wilmington that can buy them houses also. Because you may seem like Philly can come here. We want to see Wilmingtonians and Wilmingtonian houses. So I want to put that.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Fitzgerald. Thank you for the work that you're doing as we look at the housing crises across America. I do feel that we are moving forward here in Wilmington. We still have many challenges, but I thank you and your team for everything that you're doing, housing our seniors, the disabled, in the high rises, as well as this program for affordable home ownership. So we are very thankful to you. Please call upon us, and I will be at your next listening session, and we will continue this partnership. And if you should need us, please definitely utilize us, and let's get this information, as much of it as possible, out to our constituents. Thank you so much for coming here today. We appreciate
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Good job.
And unfortunately, the next presentation is not going to take place because they had an emergency and could not be here. So we're going to move right into the legislative part of this committee meeting. So we're going to introduce Ordinance 25-059, an ordinance to approve the Anchorage Overlook Major Subdivision Plan and authorize the city to remove a segment of Anchorage Street from the official city map, improve a segment of Anchorage Street, and name it Anchorage Street Extended. Create a new street named Levi Lane and accept the dedication of Anchorage Street Extended and Levi Lane as public rights-of-way and add them to the official city map. The sponsor is Councilmember McCoy. I will let her proceed with whomever is going to speak to this.
Yes, we actually have someone who will be giving us a bit more information. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of City Council, members of the public that are here today and viewing via Channel 22. My name is John Kurth. I'm a senior planner with the Department of Land Use and Planning, and tonight I'm presenting in support of Ordinance 25-059. In March 2023, Apex Engineering, on behalf of Browntown LLC, submitted a preliminary major subdivision plan to land use staff with the intention of removing a portion of a paper street in the 700 block of Anchorage Street, dedicating new streets to the city of Wilmington to be known as Levi Lane and Anchorage Street Extended, and to subdivide 3 tax parcels into 38 new tax parcels. This preliminary plan was originally named Christina Overlook, but had to be changed due to the existence of a similarly named development near the Browntown neighborhood. Resolution 9-25, supporting this development and the proposed street actions, was unanimously passed by the City Planning Commission on August 19th, 2025. Next slide, please. This is a Google Earth aerial view showing the site in its current state, with Brown Street shown at the bottom of the slide and 7th Avenue shown on the right-hand portion of the slide. The portions that make up the site consist of vacant grass fields, an abandoned paved parking lot, and the Paper Street area of the 700 block of Anchorage Street. Over the past 30 months, the proposed 38-unit townhouse development was renamed Anchorage Overlook. And on April 17th, 2025, the developer purchased the 1.91 acre site containing 10 7th Avenue, 1400 Anchorage Street, and 1315 Brown Street from the City of Wilmington Department of Real Estate and Housing. Next slide, please. This slide is a 3-up depiction taken from the major subdivision presentation illustrating existing conditions of the 3 parcels and paper street bed that make up the site on the left-hand side. The proposed property plan showing 38 buildable lots in the middle of the slide, and the utility plan necessary to connect these new townhouses to public and city utilities on the right. Note in the drawing on the right the proposed L-shaped street bed of Levi Lane, a new multi-width street that will be constructed by Browntown LLC to meet city standards. Also note that a southerly portion of the Paper Street, Anchorage Street, will be connected to the existing 800 block of Anchorage Street to allow ingress and egress to and from the new development onto Maryland Avenue and Arterial Street. The northerly portion of the Paper Street, known as Anchorage Street, in the 700 block will be removed from the official city map to accommodate construction of units number 7, 8, 9, 10, 37, and 38. The Department of Public Works has agreed to accept Levi Lane as a city street provided that it is built to city standards, complete with the installation of public sidewalk right-of-way, street light fixtures, and street trees where feasible. The agreement also stipulates that the developer maintain as private property the 13-space overflow parking area serving Anchorage Overlook, which is illustrated on the drawing on the far right as situated near the site's intersection with Brown Street. Next slide, please. This slide of the 1997 Sanborn map highlights the city-owned and unknown-owned portions of the 700 block of the Paper Street known as Anchorage Street relative to the development site. The engineering records coordinator in the Department of Public Works verified that the City of Wilmington owns the westernmost 20-foot wide section of the Paper Street bed in the 700 block of Anchorage Street, basically to the center line, and that's shaded in brown. The ownership of the easternmost 20-foot wide section of the street bed in the 700 block of Anchorage Street is unknown and is shaded in purple. It also illustrates the footprint and some of the surrounding surface parking lots of the former Veterans of Foreign Wars Polish-American Post number 3257, which was demolished by the City of Wilmington in 2010. The VFW Post 3257 property shown in 1997 represents 2 of the 3 lots that were acquired in April 2025 by the applicant to accommodate this development proposal. The current 1.91 acre site resulted from a minor subdivision at 4 7th Avenue in March 2022. Next slide, please. This slide is a recent aerial of the site with the city-owned and unknown-owned portions of the Paper Street and the 700 block of Anchorage Street shown in brown and purple, respectively. To reiterate, the purpose of this ordinance is 1, the proposed removal of a 120-foot long by 40-foot wide segment of Anchorage Street where it meets 7th Avenue. 2, the proposed dedication of a southerly 80-foot long by 40-foot wide segment of the Paper Street, Anchorage Street extended, where it will tie into 8th Avenue. And 3, to dedicate a new street to be built to city standards, to be known as Levi Lane, which will support a new 38-unit townhouse, excuse me, townhouse development on an almost 2-acre site that has remained vacant and undeveloped for 15 years. Next slide, please. Again, to reiterate, this slide illustrates the proposed streets to be built to city standards by the developer, namely Levi Lane shaded in yellow and Anchorage Street Extended shaded in brown. The yellow shaded portion of Levi Lane that flares out near the intersection with Brown Street, shown at the bottom right of the slide, represents 13 off-street parking spaces that will be owned and maintained by the developer, Browntown LLC. Thank you. I will be happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember McCoy, if you want to proceed.
Okay. Yes, so I am so glad to start seeing some movement, some progress on this this parcel, well, several parcels. I don't know whether or not any of my colleagues remember, but I actually had a bit of controversy about this piece of property, this land, because the community wanted to restore the Brown Mansion. So that actually put things in flux for a second as we try to figure out what we were going to do with that piece. Now that we finally separated those parcels and able to start moving forward, I'm glad to see some movement. I did get a chance to have a conversation today, and so I do feel pretty positive that we're finally at that place. To me, this is right now, it's just more so about the map and looking at that paper street, actually, the addition of the street, and then also the extension of Anchorage. So I'm fine with that. I know that it is needed in order to proceed forward.
Yes.
Are there any questions from my colleagues here on City Council? Councilmember Owens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm cool with the project. The district council person is cool with it. This is my first time getting one of these. With the new street name, like how do y'all come up with what the street name is going to be? I'm sorry, I was sitting here, I was thinking about that the whole time.
Well, I'm going to defer to the developer.
Please approach the microphone and please introduce yourself for the record. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam
You
Chair.
can sit in one of the seats right there. Have your own microphone.
All right. Thank you. Got my Phillies colors on.
I love them.
It's a big night for Philly tonight.
So I'm sharing this with Ms. McCoy earlier today. So probably about 2 years ago when we submitted our formal subdivision plan, we needed to come up kind of on the spot with a street name. So my son Austin and his little boy, my grandson Levi, happened to be standing there. And we say, hey, Levi Lane. Simple.
Sometimes it's that simple.
It is.
That's simple.
That's cool.
And just to build on that, we do have a process of examining, street names, and it met our criteria. The Planning Commission was happy with it. It doesn't, there's no other Levi Street, Levi, Court, or anything like that. So we did do our diligence there.
Thank you.
Are there any, again, you can follow up, Councilmember McCoy.
Thank you. I just had a comment. I'm really surprised that you had actually considered Christina Overlook, although we already had one in Browntown. I was really surprised that I did not know that portion of the story.
Yeah, I mean, the summit, the viewscape from that parcel is, it's impressive. And the very first thing that came to mind was the Christina River. It's right there. And I didn't realize there was another nearby section named Christina Overlook. So Anchorage became kind of the natural next choice.
Are there any other council members that have questions? Councilmember Oliver?
I just have a statement. I know Councilman McCoy's been working on this for a while, so kudos to you for getting some movement over there. I'm very familiar with that area, and that whole area's been empty for a long time, so it's going to be nice to see some life come over there. I'm rolling that.
We're excited about it. It's a great infill opportunity, and it's a challenging parcel. There's some steep grades there, and it's taken a while to engineer through it, but we're finally there.
May I have a follow-up?
Yes, you may.
Is this going to be affordable housing?
It's going to be attainable. That's my new euphemism for affordable. Attainable is price to market, when we consider new communities, we're there not to create a new market at all. We're there to serve an existing market. So I struggle with the definition or qualifications of affordable. But if we had to sit here today and put a price point or price range, we're comfortable in the high 200s to 300, low 300s.
Are you from Wilmington?
Pardon me?
Are you from Wilmington?
From Newark, Delaware, but I live in
Okay.
Pennsylvania now. Looking to get back to Delaware.
Good. We welcome you with open arms. Any of my council members online that have any questions, members of the committee? Are not seeing any hands up. Is there anyone from the public that has any questions, comments? Okay, not seeing any. At this point, we do not need to vote this out of committee, and this will be on track for the November 6th council meeting for a full vote of council.
Okay, thank you for
We
your
thank
time.
you all for being patient, sitting through our first presentation,
That
and
was
for being
informative.
here with us today.
Yeah, I like that presentation earlier.
Yeah, it was good. We have good progress happening here in our city.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great evening. We proceed now to the next agenda item, which is Ordinance 25-035, an ordinance to amend Chapter 2 of the City Code to require City Council to approve of appointed members of the Wilmington Neighborhood Conservancy Land Bank Corporation. And the sponsor is Councilmember Oliver. You may proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is, if you look on page 3, number 7. I had some individuals, several meetings around housing and downstairs, and a few people were inquiring about how could they get on the land bank board that has experience with housing. And I just thought it was a good idea. I don't think it'll hurt anything to get individuals from the community who are involved with housing to, be involved with a good organization. So I told them I'll put in a piece of legislation and, get 4 people from the community and take it from there. So, like I said, it's not changing anything. I think the land bank does good work, but their homes out here, they represent the constituents of the city of Wilmington. You just feel like they want to be a part of it. It won't hurt anything. They're not on the technical board or anything of that nature, and it's not changing anybody's title or anything. So it's a harmless piece of legislation.
Thank you, Councilmember Oliver. So to clarify, this would be either for the 3 appointed seats that City Council does with City Council members, which right now are designated for President, the Finance Chair, and the Community Development Chair. And we also have 4 public seats. So would those be the 7 seats, or are you just saying the 4 seats for members of the public, to clarify?
To clarify, this would be 4 members from individuals from the public.
Okay, great.
Like I said, it's not on, they're not voting members or anything of that nature. Like I said, so it's not affecting the Land Banks Board in that aspect. But if they are interested in being on the board and hear what's going on, I don't think it's nothing wrong with it, because we have members that's on the board and I don't even hear what's going on. So they are active in the community. So it could be a way of calling somebody. They say, A, B, C, D.
Okay, yeah, because just to be clear, the way that the land bank was formed, the governor has an appointment, the Speaker of the House, Senate Pro Tem, all 3 have an appointment. The mayor has appointments on there of the city directors, and the council has the appointment of the 3 seats, and then the board would pick those 4 members. So what we're trying to change really is to say that city council would be more involved and would approve the 4 members of the public.
Correct.
Okay, perfect, just a clear understanding. Are there any questions from the committee members and any of the other members of city council? Let's start with the committee. We have Councilmember Willauer.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Councilwoman Oliver, for bringing up this legislation. It actually, when the land bank was launched, this was the requirement, and it was part of the original bylaws or the original ordinance that launched the land bank by City Council, included city council approval of those four, or city council appointment of those four committee members that weren't appointed by all the other kind of rules creating the board of the land bank. So I think this just goes back to that original intention of the ordinance, and I think it's great. So I'd like to be, I really think it's very, it's a step in the right direction.
Oh, I thought you said you wanted to be added as a co-sponsor.
Well, I need to read it a little bit more closely, but I definitely am going to consider that.
Thank you, Councilmember Willauer. And since you mentioned that, I definitely, Councilmember Oliver, were there any changes that were made to the legislation to prevent City Council from voting and approving those four members? Did something happen between then and now?
Just as a follow-up, I just remember it being, I remember it being on there before, and then somehow I didn't see it anymore. So when they brought it up in a meeting, I did state that it was something like that previously, and I just added back on there. So I don't know how.
I imagine there would have to have been a change, a vote of some kind to change it.
Just maybe it was a suggestion. I don't know, but
Okay.
I just remember.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely follow up on that, because if it already exists, then we just have to implement it, make sure that we're doing what the original legislation set out to do if changes were made. And if not, then we would introduce this to make sure that it is codified. Councilmember.
And that's what it is. It's just to be codified.
Oh, codified. Okay. Councilmember Owens, you may proceed. No? Oh, you didn't have your hands up. Okay. Councilmember Harley, please proceed.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is, the 4 seats that we're referring to, what is the process now? Like, who's appointing those individuals right now, those 4 seats that we're talking about?
Well, council's going to approve them.
Currently.
Currently, the Board of Directors of the Land Bank appoints the 4 public seats. The state has their appointments, the mayor has their appointments, city council has their appointments, and from those appointments on the board, then they would choose the 4 public members. And there was some criteria as to who those members could be, because we want input from the public, and there are certain, qualifications we want them to have.
Yeah. Okay. Follow up, Madam Chair?
Yes, you may.
Okay, so I know that there are a number of individuals that are appointed to this committee. As we know, there's several. I know Cassandra Marshall, Chuck Flemings, David Ross. So you have a number of people from the public on the land bank, on some of these committees. The 4 that you just mentioned is appointed by the board. Do you think that those are the 4 that city council is supposed to be actually involved with approving or voting on, Madam Chair?
Yes, from what I understand from Councilmember Oliver, that right now, those 4 appointments are made by a vote of the Board of Directors of the Land Bank. What Councilmember Oliver would like to see is that when we are appointing or nominating people for those 4 positions, that city council review the nominations, and that city council would be the entity to approve those 4 board nominations versus just the Board of Directors of the Land Bank, that there would be more oversight with the appointments, maybe to make sure that they're community members, that they would bring something to the table. I'm not thinking that she is questioning the members that are there now, as they're a good representation of the community, but basically to codify and maybe give city council a little bit more input on the board members in that sense, since it is the Wilmington Land Bank, and it does affect the city of Wilmington. So I understand the legislation and the spirit of the legislation. That's what that would be, if that answers your question.
It does. Thank you very much. It's very clear now. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. I have Councilmember Field with his hand up, and then we'll continue with Councilmember Willauer if that's a new question, or if that, I'm not sure of your hands up from the last time, but let's start with Councilmember Field. And then Councilmember Darby.
I don't.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Up.
Sorry, the hand was next to, the board looks like it's Councilmember Field, but it's Councilmember Darby. You may proceed.
Yes. No, thank you, Councilmember Oliver, for even putting this up. We know that the land bank has an issue with transparency and all these other issues that they have. So I think this is the step in the right direction and will be great paired with some other things coming down the line to make sure that there's accountability, make sure there's transparency, and that city council is involved, more involved in what happens with a city created entity that is a nonprofit, that is a public entity, which makes it a double public entity because it's been operating like it's private. So put me as a co-sponsor. Definitely in support of this for those four community appointed board members. My only question would be, when will we when would be the next time we will be a part of this process, if you understand what I'm saying? When do you know when the next group of people get appointed?
Yeah, as a follow-up, I'll give you a call offline and we can schedule something. If you may have one person that you may be interested. I mean, council, whoever wants to reach out, feel free. But we do have, that's what it says, for representatives from local and community groups. As I stated, we have people on the land bank now, and sometimes I don't get information unless I hear it from somebody in the street or whatever. So it's just more transparency, that's all.
No, I agree. I can follow up, Councilmember Cabrera. I don't want to
Yes,
keep
yes,
going
you
in
may.
disrespect. Yeah, no. So that wasn't the question. So the question is, when are they appointing the next group of community people? When we will get because currently right now there's people sitting in the seat, right?
Correct. I
So
think I would be best to answer that. So currently
That's right there.
yeah, and Marcelle's gonna has her hand raised, so she may be able to answer that. Currently, there are board members that are on there from the public, so I would imagine this would go into effect when those board members rotate off and they're done their term. But before I call back on you, Council Member Willauer, let me call on Marcelle Bass Knight, our CFO, because she may be able to be more specific and answer that question for Councilmember Darby, if that's okay.
all right, thank
But
you.
we're going to add you as a co-sponsor, and we have your question, and if we can't answer it tonight here in this meeting, we can get you that information, okay?
Okay.
Yes, thanks, Chairwoman Cabrera. And just to add on what you were saying is we can look at the list to see when the board members roll off, because once this legislation passed, then council will have a say. And also, I just wanted to add some clarity. The four representatives of the local community, those will have to be approved by resolution of city council going forward as people roll off, as well as there's an individual that's designated by the Wilmington Neighborhood Planning Council. So whoever that individual is, once they roll off, they also would have to be approved by resolution of city council. If there are any vacant seats that come up, those nominations also has to be reviewed by a resolution of city council. So I just wanted to add that update with for Councilwoman Oliver. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Councilmember Willauer, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say that the decision to make the board of directors of the Wilmington Land Bank choose those four happened a few years ago, and it was just to say they were appointing board members, and then they were like, well, let's just add to it that we can appoint board members. So it was a decision that was made that I think kind of just maybe slipped by council, and I think it's really great that Councilmember Oliver is bringing back that council oversight of the board of the land bank.
Thank you, Councilmember Willauer. Councilmember Owens?
Yes, thank you. First off, again, thank you, Councilwoman Oliver, for bringing this forward. And before I start, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor on this. I know this is something that you and I have talked about numerous times. I did have a clarifying question, and I guess this may go to Ms. Marshall. If someone's term ends, but they are looking to stay on the board, I know y'all said roll off, but if they're looking to stay on, they would have to get appointed and go through a resolution by the city council, correct?
If I can, Madam Chair.
Yes, you may, please.
Yes, that is correct, Councilman Owens.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from members of City Council or the committee? Are there any questions from the general public or comments? Do we have any hands raised? Okay, not seeing any. Excuse me? We have one person online. Can I have the name, please? Whomever is online, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Maggie? I believe we have someone by the name of Maggie online. If you have a question or a comment, you may raise your hand. You may proceed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please proceed. Thank you for joining us. You have 3 minutes.
Yep, we're all for achieving excellence in all corners of city government, and I really appreciate that this is a first step in righting the land bank vote. Without appropriate oversight and accountability, it appears that it has been unprepared to administer this important program. So effective monitoring and clear lines of responsibility are very important in order for them to manage a program successfully. It's an important program and we'd like to see it succeed. I'd like to point out again, if you haven't heard me say this enough, that the land bank to date has issued checks totaling nearly $3 million to address damages at the Gibraltar property. The land bank claims it is not driving this vote, that they are just writing the checks. It notes that its involvement is limited to just dispersing funds, not overseeing work. I would ask that council members ascertain who is overseeing the remediation and under whose authority taxpayer resources are being allocated to the land bank, and having them write the checks. Concerns have been raised regarding the land bank's audit, particularly in relation to its challenges with tracking and publishing meeting agendas, minutes, financial reports, comprehensive lists of properties for sale, and most notably, a recent annual report that lacked any financial data whatsoever. These issues have persisted. They were out there for over a year rather than being limited to just a short period of inadequate oversight. So if the council intends to uphold land bank's stated values of acting with purpose, transparency, and in the public interest, it would be prudent to prioritize enhanced oversight, transparency, and accountability. We fully support your efforts to strengthen and reinforce the operations of all affiliates and departments, and the land bank is in need of such help. We do hope that the members that you will be considering and appointing become voting members. Otherwise, I'm not sure we see the purpose in having members on a land bank who don't have a say in how that is steered. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Yeah, the members that do get appointed are voting members. They are considered board of directors of the land bank. And just for, the city council members, I'm sure you may have seen in your email, there is an updated audit. So if there's any questions involving some of the issues that were mentioned, it is all there. Are there any other members of the public that have any questions or comments online? Okay, not seeing any. Okay, Councilmember Oliver.
I have a question for you. You mentioned the members that's on there. Do you know when their time expires? Roughly?
I do not have that information.
Okay.
We can get that for you.
Is it normally a year?
And we actually have a meeting coming up next week, and I invite council members to please, if you could come.
What's the date?
Let me see, because it was just changed from our normal date from the 16th. It is now going to be on the 15th. And it's going to be at noon. It will be virtual and at the Abysinio Center at Bar Salesianum, across from Salesianum, the track.
As a follow-up, since you're on the board, could you email me the members that's currently on there?
We will definitely do that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great. Okay, Councilmember Willauer. Councilwoman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to ask if I could be added as a co-sponsor.
Sure. That was a quick read, Councilmember Willauer.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Oliver.
Okay, so that will also be on track. I believe it's a resolution, yes, for the November 6th council meeting. And last but not least, we have a resolution appointing members to the Reintegration Subcommittee of the Community Development and Urban Planning Committee. And the sponsor is our co-chair of this committee, Councilmember Darby. You may proceed to speak on your legislation.
Yes, good evening, everyone. So for this piece of legislation, just to give a little bit of history, because I know Kendra will speak more to it, but I get a lot of calls from constituents in regards to homes opening up in our city that is to house people who are sex offenders in our neighborhood, which, I understand the importance of rehabilitation and trying to get them integrated into society. But I also understand, being a neighbor, how that could be concerning. So this committee is a subcommittee under CDUB, where we'll be having conversations with the experts in our communities and the people who are impacted and the organizations, to have that conversation on how do we strike that balance in our community of having that, but also making people feel comfortable in their community. So we'll be having that conversation in our subcommittee. I know that we did a very thorough, let's recruit people. City council members were able to send in any names of people. It was sent out by Kendra to everyone. We also put it on social media. We did social media ads for the first time and boosted it. So that was exciting. And we got a lot of applicants in. So I know, Kendra, you'll be able to speak more to that process and where we are.
Thank you, Councilwoman Darby. Ms. Kendra, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. I am Dr. Kendra Brumfield Nwanga. I'm the Legislative Research and Policy Director for City Council. And I think Councilwoman Darby basically covered the concept of the subcommittee. So I just wanted to speak briefly to the process of nominating the members. So there was a push through social media, as she mentioned, to make community members aware that the nomination process was open and sharing the resolution and the requirements of the subcommittee members. There was also outreach to several local organizations that are have expertise in reintegration, the criminal justice system, housing, group homes, and things of that nature to find the right, makeup, you could say, of subcommittee members with the expertise to address this issue. So one of the requirements of the resolution was also that the subcommittee members be residents of the city of Wilmington. So we did also verify with them their zip codes to ensure that they were city residents. Councilwoman Darby, is there anything else that you would like me to speak to in terms of the process or the resolution?
No, I think that's it. How many people have we confirmed so far?
Yes, so the subcommittee does require 9 Wilmington residents, and we have confirmed 9 residents as of today to serve on the reintegration subcommittee. And I believe their names are listed in the copy of the resolution that you have in front of you. And I can read those off if you would like.
Yes, please.
Okay, so hopefully I'm not butchering anybody's name. Tiffany Bazemore Jackson, Joseph Connor, Evan Douglas, Jamie Martinez, Hanif Salam, Tisha Stewart, Stefan Stockton, Quincy Thomas, and Star Wilson.
Yes, I guess we can, Councilmember Caber, Chair, if we can open it up for questions or comments.
Do any other council members have questions? Councilwoman McCoy?
Yes, thank you. The only thing, not a question, I just had a statement. I was reading the resolution. I see you gave yourself some really strict timelines on when you're meeting and everything, and just wanted to know whether or not you wanted to change that, because it looked like this was created a little bit ago.
So, Councilwoman Darby, if you, I could speak to that, is that it does
Yes.
also in the resolution request a change in that timeline to align with the actual time that the subcommittee does meet, because you are correct, the original resolution did stipulate within 90 days, I believe it is, of meeting that they would issue a preliminary report. And so this resolution would also approve a modification of that timeline to align with the subcommittee being appointed and starting to meet.
Yeah, give them time to get a chance to meet.
Yes, yes.
Councilmember Owens?
Yes. Thank you so much for bringing this forward. I know quite a few names on this list. First District is very well represented here as well, too. I would just like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Are there any other questions? Oh, Councilmember Willauer?
Yes, I also wanted to thank you, Councilwoman Darby. This is something that a lot of residents have concerns about, have ideas about. And I just think it's really excellent that you've created this committee so that people can come together and think through this topic and hopefully come up with some recommendations for the city to do this better.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from members of City Council? Councilmember Willauer?
And I'd just like to add, could I be added as a co-sponsor? Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any hands raised from members of the public? Okay, not seeing any. I'm not sure if this is going to be also on the November. Oh yes, next week.
Yes.
This will be this will be on for the following Thursday. The next meeting, no, October 16th. Councilmember Darby, if you have any closing comments you'd like to make.
No, none at all. Thank you.
Okay, so at this time, we have gone through a very good meeting. Took a little longer than normal, but I appreciate everyone joining in that were here, the people that came in person. So at this time, we are going to adjourn, and I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. It has been properly moved and second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion has been carried. Everyone have a wonderful evening and stay warm.